Chosen one, the reason this message found you is because divine timing never misses its mark. The universe is shifting in your favor. The coordinates of your destiny are finally aligning. Elon Musk himself has been speaking of transformation, innovation, and a new world that belongs to those who refuse to quit. You, too, carry that same frequency, the energy of creation, courage, and unbreakable will. Heaven saw every battle you fought when no one else was watching. The world saw the exhaustion, but heaven saw the endurance. You were being refined, not rejected. The fire didn't destroy you, it purified you. That's why now, everything that once resisted you is turning to make room for your rise. Elon's coming isn't about fame or chance, it's a symbol. It's the physical manifestation of something spiritual, the moment your preparation meets divine opportunity. Heaven is saying, you're ready. So stand tall. Lift your head. The same wind that tried to blow out your flame is now the force that will carry your light across nations. The whispers that doubted you will soon echo your name in awe. This is your appointed hour, not someday now. And when he comes your way, it won't be coincidence. It'll be confirmation that what was written in heaven is unfolding on earth. David's writings in Psalms 23 verse 4 serve as a reminder to us. I will not fear evil while passing through the valley of the shadow of death, because your rod and your staff are with me. They give me solace. Feel it? This is not merely poetry from antiquity. It's your current situation. You have traversed valleys. Shadows have come into contact with you. You were never left behind, however. A presence was constantly there to provide safe guidance and defense. Let me tell you a tale, Lend. I heard a voice saying in the darkness, keep walking. You are not finished. A young guy once felt as if he had been forgotten. For years, he prayed. Answers, however, seemed to be slow. He remained in waiting while his friends became successful. Silence, he believed, indicated that heaven had forgotten about him. The reality, however, was different. His bones were being shaped by the weight, which taught him to rely on faith in the absence of sight. He was no longer the feeble, cynical youngster he had been when his assigned season finally came. He was a brave and visionary guy. It is not a work of fiction. It is a reflection of your own path. Your scheduled hour has been practiced by every unanswered prayer. Listen to me now. On the calendar, October 8th is more than just another day. It's a doorway. It will be a turning moment for the selected, but for others, it will just be another daybreak. Don't let sleep rob you of it. Don't allow distractions to overpower it. You can already feel the earth moving under your feet. Fire has encircled that day in heaven. Picture yourself in front of a huge gate that is adorned with antiquated symbols. There is a light-emitting key in your hand. You may choose to ignore it, carry it in your pocket, and stay outdoors indefinitely. Alternatively, you might insert the key into the lock and force the gate open. That's the decision you have to make. And the key being presented is precisely this message. Selected one. As you read, if your heart is racing, reply. Press the like button. Share this with someone you feel is battling silently, not for me, but as a sign that you are in accord with heaven. Additionally, if you feel deep down that this term belongs to you, publicly mark it by leaving a remark with a number 555. It will be more than simply a series of numbers on a screen. You will make the proclamation. I understand. I think I'm ready, and remember to remain in touch. Sign up today, not because you need another alert, but rather because you can't afford to miss God's words that are tailored to your particular season. This flow is necessary. This constant reminder that you are selected is what you need. You're protected. You underestimate how near your time is. The 8th of October is almost here. Be careful as you walk. Remain awake. You won't be held in the valley. There is a gate waiting, and you'll look back and see every tear when that day comes. Every silent night and every invisible battle wasn't in vain. If you want to claim this message, you can show your support by paying a super thanks amount of up to $20 and typing 1111. Bricks were what they were, constructing the path to this precise point. The day heaven reveals your selection is October 8th. Something that has been concealed in plain sight must be understood by you. Long before you knew it, there was a conflict going on all around you. It's a fight waged not with swords and guns, but in whispers, invisible worlds, and the weight that rests on your chest in a silent room. Darkness is aware of your vocation, even before you did. For this reason, you have encountered opposition in areas where others are able to go freely. That's why doors that ought to have opened for you remain closed. It explains why seemingly promising partnerships abruptly ended. It explains why, even when you weren't searching for trouble, wars managed to find you. You're not doomed. You've been marked, and you have been singled out because of that mark. Consider this. An army doesn't waste its artillery on deserted buildings when it invades. They target fortifications, strongholds, and valuables that should be protected. You are that stronghold, selected one. Your soul is valuable. For years, the adversary has been attempting to open the treasure box that is your destiny, which is sealed with divine purpose. I want you to visualize a nighttime old battlefield. The ridge is ablaze with torches. While making maps in the mud, soldiers congregate in the shadows. They indicate a lone tent in the distance while whispering tactics. You own that tent. The opposition has been so concentrated against you. Here's the reality, however. They wouldn't disturb you if you weren't a threat to darkness. The second letter to Timothy, chapter 1, verse 7, proclaims the word of God. Because God has given us a spirit of strength, love, and sound intellect instead of one of dread. That poem is not a meaningless consolation. It's your weapon. When fear whispers that you will fail, it has attempted to pass as your own voice. If you want to claim this message, you can show your support by paying a super thanks amount of up to $20 and typing 1111. That you are insufficient. That the burden is excessive. But you don't inherit fear. Love is power, and a good mind is power. Fear just serves to highlight the fact that you are approaching the breakthrough barrier too closely. I remember the tale of a lady who believed that life was nothing but combat. Every time she put money aside, disaster happened. She was betrayed every time she trusted someone. Everything she constructed was destroyed. She started to think she was cursed. But as she grew closer to God, she came to understand the contrary. She was selected, and for that reason, she was followed by opposition. Heaven had prepared a crown for her, and the adversary had caught a sight of it. And he could postpone the rise if he could shatter her while she was waiting. She wouldn't bow, however. One day, her voice was raised to countries by the testimony of the very wars that attempted to bury her. Your path follows the same pattern. You have been hit with strikes that may have killed you. You're still standing, however, and the worst annoyance of darkness is that you're not broken, even if you should be. Your voice still reverberates, even though you ought to have remained quiet. You ought to have been crushed. However, you continue to move ahead in some way. I'll show you another image. Imagine coal being transformed into a diamond. It is undervalued, trodden on, and thrown away. However, it becomes indestructible and luminous when it is surrounded by pressure, heated, and exposed to the full force of time. You are that. You haven't squandered your pressure. You haven't been waiting in vain. Only what heaven already knows has been made clear by each onslaught. You are really valuable. You cannot compare your trip to others because of this. Since their assignments are distinct, their paths are also varied. A heavier burden has been placed on you, and as a result, you encounter more resistance. But keep in mind that weight is an indicator of value. No burglar enters a vault that is empty. The resistance you are now experiencing is not the end. It is verified. The wealth that surrounds a battle increases with its intensity. There's a reason you're fighting. You are battling for your fate. For decades to come, you are battling. Because you persevered, you are fighting for others who will one day be freed. The next time you sense the shadows closing in, do this. Keep in mind that you are not the prey. The guarded is you. The circle of heaven has encircled you. You have been paired with angels. More frequently than you think, every arrow that has been aimed at you has already been deflected. Don't hate the opposition. It is proof that you are relevant. It is an indication that you are in the right place. Furthermore, October 8th won't reveal your failure. It will soon reveal your triumph. You have endured storms that others cannot. Despite this, people often just notice your outward smiles, strength, and poise when they look at you. The nights you prayed till your body shook are what they don't see. Even though your eyes were puffy when you woke up in the morning, you still carried yourself as like nothing was wrong. We have not overlooked their invisible tears. All of them have been bottled by heaven, recorded them on the scroll of memory after counting them. You heard every sigh you believed to be lost in the atmosphere. You can think that your suffering is unseen, yet every muttered, "Why that never reached human ears reached the throne of God." In actuality, however, it is more evident in paradise than even your victories. Your tale is not finished because of this. A guy previously spent years creating his life with all he had, working nonstop. However, something pulled him back 3 steps each time he took 2. Friendships were lost for him. He missed his chances. He even stopped believing in himself. However, one evening when he was by himself, he screamed out in all honesty rather than with grace or the ideal prayer. And something changed at that instant. He understood that the God who sees in private was waiting for a surrendered heart rather than well-crafted words. Little doors started to open after that day. Not everything changed at once, but gradually, one by one, restoration arrived. Your narrative has the same scent, which is why I tell you this. If you want to claim this message, you can show your support by paying a super thanks amount of up to $20 and typing 1111. You are eligible for a breakthrough precisely because of what you believe excluded you. Your life's fissures are not an indication of weakness. They are the exact locations where God's light is most radiant. A happy heart is wonderful medicine, but a crushed soul dries up the bones, according to what is described in Proverbs 17 verses 17 to 22. Well, take note of this fact. The strength of your steps is determined by the state of your spirit. If your spirit is alive, you can withstand loss and yet be strong. However, even the slightest load becomes intolerable when your soul is shattered. For this reason, even in the darkest moments, God has been bringing your inner self to life. Think of yourself as an eye-catching jar of clay. You could seem frail, broken, and undeserving of selection. However, there is a treasure and an unquenchable light inside of you. The adversary has attempted to shatter the jar, believing that the riches would be gone if he broke the ship. Here's the riddle, however. The light is merely become brighter by each fracture. Your fate is not in the jar. In order to access the riches inside, I kindly ask that you reply with a straightforward act of trust. Put "fire within me" in the comments. You know why these words are important? You're not only describing yourself when you announce them. You're waking up. You're suggesting that there's a fire inside of you that won't go out, no matter how gloomy the night becomes. You are acknowledging that the fire that God has put within of you is more powerful than any storm that may arise outside of you. You are rekindling that inner fire each time you write it, letting your soul know it is strong. It's not finished. It burns with heavenly intent. Empty interaction is not the point here. This has to do with agreement. You are doing more than just posting a remark when you type those words. You are declaring that the flame is alive to both heaven and your own soul. I am a light. Your hidden tears are not in vain, say aloud. We remember your quiet prayers. October 8th is almost coming. And along with it, the reason you had to follow this road was revealed. Hold on tight, raise your gaze, and never forget that you are still standing because of the fire within of you. The underlying reality is as follows. You have an unusual fire inside of you. It isn't the fire of ambition or obstinate determination. It is the same breath that first hung over the waters, the fire of the Spirit. The same presence that breathed life into lifeless bones. You don't maintain that fire. God sustains it. It has never gone out because of this. Imagine a coal buried in ashes, even when you are at your weakest. It seems extinguished to the naked eye. However, the light reappears and spreads heat again when the wind contacts it. That coal is like your soul. Perhaps it was buried under the ashes of disappointment in life. However, the air of heaven is stirring. The fire will soon burn brightly, and your witness will warm the hearts of others. Therefore, you are conveying more than just words when you remark that I have fire inside of me. By choosing to think that your existence is about what remains inside you rather than what was taken away from you, you are aligning yourself with the reality of paradise. And on October 8th, your future will emerge from that fire. It's just a date on a calendar to most people. You see it as a crossroads, a point where the past and the future meet. It has been shown by what you have gone through so far. The waiting seasons, the hard nights, and the unsolved questions have all been leading up to this designated hour. Selected 1. You have to know how paradise works. God has time and patterns. Moments come and go with little significance. Long before they come, certain moments are inscribed into forever. These are Kairos moments, heavenly disruptions that completely change a person's life's course. And for you, October 8th has been marked as one such occasion. Imagine Joshua in front of the Jordan River. The people walked for years in search of a promise. Then, all of a sudden, one day, God gave them the order to enter the sea. 40 years of wilderness were engulfed in a single act of obedience when the priests touched the river with the ark, causing the current to halt and the people to cross on dry land. When God chooses the time, the ordinary becomes exceptional. That is what divine timing looks like. Through the prophet Jeremiah, the Spirit communicated. Chapter 29.11. The Lord says, "Because I know what I have planned for you, plans to help you rather than hurt you, plans to provide you with a future and hope." Although this line is often recited in passing, take a moment to allow it to resonate deeply with you. Chaos is not planned by God. He doesn't create hopelessness. The seasons you spent in the forest weren't written to ruin you. They were intended to polish you so that you could accept blessings without breaking beneath their weight. Picture yourself at a fork in the road in a thick forest. While the second way is small, rough, and almost concealed, the first is broad, smooth, and welcoming. Comfort is promised by the broad road, yet it simply goes to loops. Courage is needed to navigate the small route, which eventually opens up into a bright, broad field. That small path is represented by October 8th. Because they can't see beyond the thorns, many will miss it. However, you are unique. In the desert, you learn to see the dim light of God's road, even when it appears to be a narrow one. Divine appointments have a deep quality. At first sight, they seldom seem dramatic. David was still reeking of dust and livestock when he was crowned king. Mary heard the news of the Messiah in a private apartment rather than a palace. His voice was heard by Peter next to a boat full of empty nets. The commonplace often conceals the remarkable. Your eyes must remain open because of this. I'll tell you a tale. Once, a young man battled with feeling invisible. He worked diligently, yet no one took attention. Every day seemed like a never-ending cycle of work without any fruit. Unexpectedly, however, he got a single call one day that completely altered his life. What seemed to be simply another Tuesday turned out to be the pivot that determined the course of his whole life. That's what October 8th will seem like to you, a typical day, yet remarkable in the result. You reach a threshold on October 8th. You won't have everything with you. Outdated beliefs, poisonous relationships, and worries you've held on to. The entryway is too small for them. Because of this, the days before it might seem like shedding, as like you're losing items you used to rely on. But don't be afraid to let go. They're not stripping you. You are being prepared for the future. Imagine an eagle getting ready to fly higher. Because carrying too much may damage its wings, it releases weight at certain altitudes. You are also getting lightened. Heaven is adjusting your wings so that you may ascend without opposition when the October 8th breeze blows. Selected 1. Superstition has nothing to do with this. It has nothing to do with marking calendars out of worry or terror. It has to do with discernment. Being alert enough to see when heaven has ringed a time for you is the key. There is no deadline of October 8th. It's a gap. It's not the end. It's only the beginning. Thus, proceed with caution. Keep an eye out. In the days before it, avoid being overwhelmed by distractions. Knowing that the burden you brought into this season is going to change, take a deep breath on that morning. You are at a crossroads, and the route you choose will determine how the remainder of your adventure unfolds. You'll see that the delay wasn't denial when you finally take action. It wasn't punishment. Furthermore, the quiet was hardly a sign of desertion. The door, which only opens on October 8th, was being prepared. The time that was specifically designed for you. Now you have to see things clearly. The difficulties you encountered weren't arbitrary. They fought in a conflict where the adversary has consistently attempted to distort the facts. Through deceived individuals, through words that made fun of your aspirations, through accusations that went deeper than any sword, he muttered. The people who attempted to embarrass you weren't the ones who were really opposing you. They serve as pawns in a bigger conflict. The adversary is aware that he may halt your destiny if he can get you to question who you are. False statements have been pursuing you for years because of this. And yet here you are, walking and breathing. The strength of truth is shown by the fact that you withstood falsehoods. The machinations against you have already been outshone by the light inside you. In chapter 4, verse 8 of his epistle to the Corinthians, the apostle reminds us, "We are confused, but not hopeless, and we are squeezed hard on all sides, but not crushed." Do you hear it, I wonder? I wrote this just for you. You have indeed been pressured. You are not crushed, even if you have felt the weight. No, you haven't been left behind. Your spirit has been imprinted with perseverance by heaven. I'll paint you a picture. Consider a tree that is standing during a storm. It is bent by the winds. Its branches are whipped by the rain. However, its roots are deeply ingrained in the earth. The tree endures despite storm after storm. Weary travelers may get cover from the tree when the sun comes out again. You are that. Others will eventually find peace under your existence because of the storms that almost destroyed you. Selected one, you must comprehend something essential. What you carry has always been validated by the conflicts you have faced. Stones are not thrown at vacant grounds. Where fruit grows, they toss them. Your life is fruitful ground, which is why the adversary has attempted to harm you. And here is where I really address your heart. It is no coincidence that you get messages like this that remind you of your purpose, uplift your soul, and keep you going when everyone else advises you to go to sleep. They need work, prayer, and time to manifest. If my words have been a blessing to you and you feel that your soul is being nourished here, then I extend an invitation to support the work. Think of it as water pouring into a well, rather than as a demand. In order for others to drink, each drop keeps the well going. You're not paying for revelation when you donate, whether it is by sharing this word, hitting like, subscribing to remain in touch, or simply giving from the bottom of your heart. By planting into this well, you are reviving many other selected individuals who come in exhausted and looking for a word to keep them alive. Support isn't about duty. Participation is key. In other words, this fed me, and I wanted to feed others. Some will click like to donate. Some will use this stream of light to sow. Some will subscribe in order to anchor themselves. And as a seed of faith, others will decide to give. They are all sparks. And when sparks combine, they form a fire that heats whole countries. A murmur of agreement is what you prefer. A torch handed to another traveler is your share. Your subscription is a path that opts to remain close to the river. When you donate, it's like pouring oil into a light that won't go out. These are all voluntary. Invitations are what they are. In other words, let the flame burn hotter. Keep in mind that pressure is not the aim. It's liberty. Nobody is ever forced to sit under a tree's shade. It just expands. And tired passengers voluntarily come. This message also gives you the opportunity to contribute freely, happily, and only if your soul so desires. Because this is the most important thing. Something greater than yourself is a part of you. Every action you do and every act of faith you perform have an impact on the world. Because you choose to keep the stream going, the words that gave you strength today could give you strength tomorrow. Thus, keep this in mind. You've made it through falsehoods. You've been through storms. And you're a living example of the indisputable nature of truth. You will not be crushed on October 8th. You'll be anchored and prepared. And you'll discover that even the hints of treachery are there when the time comes. The soil that grew your roots deeper included the storms of rejection and the shadows of uncertainty. You now grow stronger from the exact earth that once attempted to bury you. October 8th will be more than just a date. It will serve as evidence. It will go down in history as the day your perseverance paid off. The day heaven showed you why you were impervious to the storm. Be proud, selected one. Your strength's revelation is closer than you may imagine. This season, heaven is revealing a secret to you. Numbers are more than simply arithmetic. They serve as markers. God has communicated via the 40 days of testing throughout the whole Bible. Israel's 12 tribes, 7 candles in front of the throne. Numbers don't just happen. They serve as alignment symbols. And a number has significance for you right now, a testament to the fact that you are on the road that heaven intended. You've had the impression that your path was disjointed, like jigsaw pieces dispersed without a clear image to follow. However, God refers to every delay and every hardship as foundations, while you turn them pieces. Each silent season has been a stone thoughtfully placed in its proper position. What you see as chaos is really a heavenly sequence, a rhythm that is only understood in the language of heaven. Chapter 2, verse 19 of the second epistle to Timothy declared it. The Lord knows who is his, yet God's sturdy foundation remains intact, sealed with this inscription. This is the guarantee that you won't be forgotten. You're sealed. Your life's basis hasn't been arbitrary. It has an endless design set. And now October Ashamir, as a sign of alignment rather than a coincidence. Consider a watchmaker meticulously assembling gears inside a chronometer. Just the gears seem to be inconsequential, but when they line up, they provide the ideal beat. Gears have been your difficulties. Your weeping has been like gears. Your triumphs have served as gears. A lady once waded through years of hardship. Then on October 8th, heaven winds the watch and declares, now is the time. Now let me share a story. She was dependable. However, she felt as if her life was a loop of almost and not yet. While praying one evening, she noticed that a number was coming up in her dreams, conversations, and even unexpected locations. She first wrote it off as a coincidence. She eventually understood, however, that it was God's whisper. I recognize you. You have been marked by me. We don't forget you. Throughout her life, that number served as a constant reminder that she was in divine harmony, even when she felt behind schedule. Selected one. It's the same with you. Numbers may serve as a guide, to arouse your consciousness, not to ensnare you in superstition. They serve as a reminder that you're not lost and that heaven is watching you. Therefore, I'm inviting you to proclaim alignment in a straightforward act of faith right now. Comment on 444. Why 444? Because it's a number that says, I am built on what cannot be shaken, and it's a number of solidity and foundation. It may seem straightforward on a screen, but it has great spiritual force. When you write it, you are expressing, I choose to stand on the rock, not the sand. I choose to trust the sequence of heaven over the confusion of earth. Your seal is 444. Your reminder that you are in alignment and not dispersed. Imagine this. A magnificent temple is being built. Although stone after stone is placed, it seems to be random debris to the naked eye. However, the design appears when the architect takes a back seat. That's your life. And your declaration of 444 is you saying, I trust the architect. I may not see the full design, but I know I am part of his building. No, do not underestimate small prophetic acts. A simple word, a simple number, a simpler declaration can shift your perspective, can remind your heart what your spirit already knows. You are chosen. You are sealed. You are aligned. You have wandered through valleys, faced storms, endured nights of silence. But every step has been counted. Every tear has been marked. Every breath has been recorded. October 8th will not be a random sunrise. It will be heaven's declaration. The time is now one. So let this number rest in your heart. Write it. Remember it. Speak it when doubt rises. 444 is not magic. It is memory. It is your reminder that the foundation of your life is not fragile. It is eternal. You are not drifting. You are not forgotten. You are aligned. And the unveiling is closer than you realize. And when October 8th dawn, you will feel in your spirit the sense that pieces long scattered are finally fitting together. What once looked like broken fragments will reveal themselves as part of a larger, unshakable design. Hold this truth close. Your steps are not wasted. Your path is not random, and your alignment is already sealed. In heaven's book, there are weights you have carried that few could understand. Some burdens you never spoke of because you feared others would not believe you. Or worse, that they would dismiss your pain with shallow words. Yet the weight remained, pressing on your shoulders, demanding that you walk with strength when inside you long for rest. Chosen one, you have carried responsibilities that were not entirely yours. You picked up broken pieces for others. You stood in the gap when those around you collapsed. You became the pillar in homes, workplaces, and friendships where everyone leaned on you. Yet rarely did anyone notice the toll it took on your soul. It is here that your story mirrors a pattern found throughout Scripture. Think of Moses called to lead an entire people out of slavery. The weight was so heavy that he cried out to God, saying he could not bear it alone. Or think of Esther, thrust into the palace not for her own comfort, but for the survival of her people. To be chosen is often to carry more than seems fair. According to what is written in the book of Galatians, chapter 6, verse 9, let us not become weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up. This verse is not a cliche. It is an anchor. It reminds you that even the invisible weight you carry has purpose. The long nights of perseverance, the unseen sacrifices, the silent prayers offered for others, they have not vanished into nothingness. They are seeds planted deep, waiting for their harvest. Let me share with you the story of a man who carried quietly. He was the eldest son in his family. When his father left, the responsibility of caring for his siblings fell on him. He worked long hours, often going without so that his family could survive to the world. He was strong, but inwardly he felt unseen, almost invisible. Yet years later, those siblings flourished because of his sacrifice. What felt like a crushing burden in the moment became the testimony that preserved lives. This echoes your own story. What you thought was wasted strength is not wasted at all. Heaven has recorded every act of quiet faithfulness, every hidden endurance. The harvest is waiting and the time is near. Picture a bridge spanning over a rushing river. Day after day, heavy trucks pass across it. Nobody stops to admire the bridge. Few even notice it. Yet without it, journeys would end and lives would remain stuck on one side. You chosen one have been that bridge. You have carried the weight so others could cross. And while they may not have seen your value, heaven has. Do not mistake silence for neglect. Just because others failed to acknowledge your strength does not mean heaven overlooked it. God has been watching, and every step you took with that heavy load has been noted in eternity. Sometimes the greatest evidence of calling is the weight entrusted to you. Weak vessels are never given great burdens. They would break. But you were given more because you were built to endure more. That does not mean the weight has been easy. It means that even in the heaviness, your spirit has proven unbreakable. Think of coal again, pressed and crushed under the earth. The pressure does not destroy it. It transforms it into diamond. In the same way, the pressures you have borne have been shaping you into something rare, something unbreakable, something that reflects light with brilliance. So when you look back at the burdens you carried, financial stress, broken relationships, hidden struggles with identity, moments when you almost collapsed, see them not as evidence of weakness, but as evidence of your capacity. You carried what others could not. You stood when others fell. And though your back bent under the load, it never snapped. Chosen one. October 8th will not come to heap more weight on you. It will come to reveal the reason you carried it. The burden was not punishment. It was preparation. The weight you bore was training you for authority. You could not have gained any other way. The crown does not rest on empty heads. It rests on those who have carried, who have endured, who have proven that they can be trusted with responsibility. Your crown is being forged in the very weight you thought would break you. So take courage. The heaviness of this season is not your end. It is your evidence. You have carried what others could not, and soon you will see why. October 8th is not the day the burden increases. It is the day the burden makes sense. There are moments in life when everything seems to pause, as if time itself holds its breath. You may not notice it at first. Perhaps it comes while you are sitting in silence after a long day, or when you feel an unusual stillness in your spirit. These pauses are not emptiness. They are interruptions from heaven. They are moments when the eternal breaks into the ordinary, when God halts the noise of the world to speak directly to you. You might recall a time when suddenly you felt compelled to stop and reflect. Without knowing why, the distractions around you faded. And for a brief moment, it felt like your heart was tuned to another frequency. That was heaven pausing everything to remind you. You are not forgotten. I am here. And it is in these pauses that some of the most profound revelations come. Think of Moses standing before the burning bush. It was an ordinary day in the wilderness watching sheep until a flame that did not consume the bush demanded his attention. Time paused. He removed his sandals, realizing he was standing on holy ground. Or think of Samuel as a boy lying in the temple in the stillness of the night. A voice called his name. No thunder, no earthquake, just a whisper that shifted the course of his entire life. These interruptions may seem small, but they carry eternal weight. As Jesus himself declared in the Gospel of Matthew, Music 11:28, "Come to me all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." This is the essence of heaven's pause. It is not about forcing you into activity, but about inviting you into rest. A rest that restores your spirit and recalibrates your vision. In these moments, you are not being asked to perform, but simply to listen, to receive, to realign. Imagine walking through a forest. The birds sing, the leaves rustle, the river flows, then suddenly the forest grows silent. No sound, no movement. It is as if the world is waiting for something. That silence is weighty, almost sacred. This is what it feels like when heaven pauses for you. The noise dies down so the whisper can be heard. There was once a young woman who lived in a constant rush. Work, family, expectations, her days blurred together in exhaustion. One evening, after another long day, she collapsed on her bed, weary and drained. Yet in the stillness, she felt a peace settle on her chest. For the first time in years, she breathed without pressure. Tears came, not despair, but of release. She realized heaven had paused her life for a reason. That night she received clarity about decisions she had been afraid to make. A single pause became the turning point of her journey. Chosen one, you too are being invited into such pauses. October 8th will not arrive with endless noise, but with a stillness that speaks louder than thunder. God does not always reveal himself in earthquakes and fire. Often it is in the gentle whisper that his presence is most powerful. These pauses are not empty. They are filled with preparation. They are like the interlude in a symphony. When instruments fall silent before the music swells again with greater power. In that silence, your heart resets, your ears sharpen, your spirit awakens. Do not despise the pause. Many see silence as absence, but in reality, it is presence intensified. When heaven interrupts your routine, it is an act of love. It is a reminder that your journey is not being ignored. It is being guided. Picture a potter at his wheel. The clay spins, hands shape, water smooths. Then at times the potter stops, his hands lift. The wheel slows. It seems like nothing is happening. Yet in that pause, he is seeing, assessing, planning the next move. The pause is not neglect. It is intention. So it is with your life when it feels like nothing is moving. Heaven is shaping your next step. Chosen one. The pause before October 8th is not a void. It is the womb of transformation. It is the space where you are being positioned for what is coming. Do not rush it. Do not resent it. Sit in it, and let heaven's whisper prepare you. The world may see pause as weakness, but you will learn it as strength. For in that silence, you will find direction. In that stillness, you will find clarity. And when the pause lifts, you will rise into motion with a power that noise could never give you. Everything familiar in your life may soon tremble. What you thought was steady may shake. What you assumed unmovable may shift. Do not let fear overtake you. This is not destruction. It is transformation. Before a new foundation can be revealed, the old ground must first be unsettled. Remember how the walls of Jericho fell. The people marched in obedience. And on the seventh day, the sound shook the foundations until the walls crumbled. It looked like chaos, but it was actually the beginning of promise. In the same way, shaking in your life is not the end. It is the preparation for the opening of doors. The Word of God declares in the book of Hebrews 12, verse 27. The words once more indicate the removing of what can be shaken that has created things so that what cannot be shaken may remain. This is not a warning of loss. It is an announcement of purification. The shaking strips away the false supports you were never meant to lean on. It leaves behind only what is eternal, unsharkably and true. Imagine an old building being renovated. Dust fills the air. Walls are torn down. Floors are ripped apart. To an outsider, it looks like destruction. But to the architect, it is progress. The shaking is necessary to reveal the new design hidden beneath the debris. There was once a man who lived for stability. He loved routine, familiar patterns, predictable days. Then suddenly, everything around him shifted. He lost his job. His friendships changed. His plans fell apart. At first he thought it was punishment, but over time he realized it was protection. The shaking removed what was fragile so that God could plant him in soil that would actually last. Chosen one, the shaking in your life is not random. It is evidence that God is moving. Do not be alarmed if certain doors close. If relationships shift, if paths you once trusted collapse, these are not endings. They are adjustments. They are heaven's way of removing what was never meant to sustain you. Picture yourself as a tree in a storm. The wind tears at your branches and loose leaves scatter. It looks violent, but when the storm passes, what remains are the roots and branches that were strong enough to endure. The storm does not kill the tree. It proves its strength. And here is where I invite you to make a declaration. Type in the comments, "Rooted deep is one." Why these words? Because they embody the truth of who you are becoming. Your roots are not shallow. They reach into the soil of eternity, drawing strength unseen by human eyes. Declaring rooted deep is not just about survival. It is about stability, about thriving even in the face of storms. It is you saying my foundation cannot be ripped away because it is not built on sand but on a rock. When you leave this declaration, you are not just strengthening yourself. You are also sending a signal to others. Someone passing by, feeling uprooted by their own battles. Too will see your words, and remember, they too have roots that run deep. And heaven will see your faith inscribed in that simple phrase. So do not fear the shaking. Embrace it. Let it strip away what was false. Let it expose what is eternal. Because when the ground settles, you will find yourself standing stronger than before. October 8th will not reveal your collapse. It will reveal your unshakable foundation. And when the shaking ends, what remains will be the truest parts of you. Not the masks you wore to survive. Not the false supports you leaned on for comfort. Only the pure foundation, tested and proven, will stand unbroken. That is the version of you that God is unveiling. Think of gold refined in fire. Impurities rise to the surface not because the gold is weak, but because it is being made pure. In the same way your trials have been the furnace, the shaking has been the fire. What is left in you is not weakness. It is refined strength, precious and radiant. So when you declare rooted deep, you are doing more than resisting the storm. You are embracing the refining. You are saying, let the fire come. Let me be tested by the tremors. Not only will I make it through, but I'll come out stronger than before. Because of this, your assertion has moral weight. We won't remember October 8th as the crash day. It will be remembered as the day you stood, unflinching and still, exposing roots that were impossible to remove. New vegetation will emerge from those roots, with branches spreading widely, fruit bearing seasonally, and life bringing life to every arid area. Your path has not been in vain. Each hardship, setback, and load has shaped you in some way. Heaven has been carefully shaping you, like a jeweler putting on a crown. It takes time to make a crown. It is polished, hammered, and embellished until it shines with splendor. You are being readied for a crown of glory and power, chosen one. Even though you may only see wounds from your history, those scars are evidence of your survival, and surviving is evidence of your purpose. Imagine a warrior coming home from combat. He has dents in his armor. The struggle left marks on his body. But since he has persevered, his head is held high. You are that. You bear the scars of hardship. More significantly, however, you exhibit endurance. Chapter 1, verse 12 of the book of James contains old words that state, "The person who endures hardship because they have withstood the test is blessed. The crown of life, which the Lord has promised to those who love him, will be given to that individual." Can you see it? Neither the quick nor the untried get the crown. Those who have stood are given it. Every cry and every silent night was important because of this. You were being shaped to wear something that would last forever. Picture a crown composed of light. Every gem is a symbol of a season you made it through. Every loss you overcome is worth one jewel. For every rejection that doesn't shatter you, you get one pearl. For each fight that fails to destroy you, you'll get one gem. When combined, they emit light so brilliant that darkness cannot penetrate. The crown has been set aside for you. And now is when I really address your heart. Affirmations of your value, reminders of your destiny, and disclosures of God's purpose are not only echoes. They are seeds that have been sown in your soul and are being properly tended. I kindly and freely ask you to reply in ways that sustain this dream if these words have moved you, bolstered you, or reminded you of who you are. Pressing like will do that, much like sowing a little seed in the ground. Despite its seeming simplicity, it multiplies when paired with other things. You may do this by spreading this word, which is analogous to giving someone who is still stumbling in the dark a torch, so they have a light to follow. By subscribing, you may ensure that you are fed throughout the year, much as when you anchor your roots next to a running river. Additionally, if you feel moved, you might give as an act of love rather than as a cost or obligation. Imagine it like filling a lantern with oil. It guarantees that the flame will continue to burn for all travelers who are still looking for light, not just for you. Transactions are not the focus of support. Participation is key. You are not giving to a person when you donate. You are contributing to the effort to remind innumerable selected individuals of their value. Every click, share, and seed planted contributes to a river that keeps growing, reaching those who would otherwise perish in silence. A guy previously believed that his contribution was insignificant. He didn't think his one action could make a difference. Years later, however, he saw that the little seed he had sown had blossomed into a tree that provided shade for many. That's the nature of your assistance. Even if it seems little, it becomes a part of something that is eternally selected. Awaiting you is your crown, yet crowns are not worn alone. They are testimonials that are shared. Not only are you strengthening yourself when you decide to participate and sow, but you're also making sure that others find their crown. Let's be clear about this. Here, there is no coercion. It is impossible to purchase the crown. Neither money nor clicks may be used to earn it. God freely gives it to those who persevere. To maintain this flow, however, you are welcome to take part in anything lovely. To keep the well full for those who are thirsty and to keep the oil in the lamp burning. A like is a silent nod of agreement. A hand is stretched to another soul with each sharing. Each subscriber makes the decision to stay near the stream. Each contribution is like adding a drop of oil to the fire. When they combine, they produce an unquenchable fire. October Oim and the revelation of the reasons you had to put up with it. You are closer than you think to the crown for which you have been ready. Additionally, keep in mind that you are not walking alone as you enter that day. You belong to a chosen one's family. We are all carrying light. We are all passing the torch by ourselves. We are all maintaining the flame. The voice of kindness might become quiet at times, when the weight of the weight presses down on the heart, and then it feels like time itself drags on interminably. This emotion may be familiar to you. The feeling that doors are shutting more quickly than they are opening. Possibilities that elude you like water through your fingertips. Heaven, however, has been speaking, warning, and urging you to wake up before it's too late even throughout these times. Mercy is plentiful, but it has its limits, you know. God's voice becomes more audible at certain seasons. His indications are more luminous. His hand reaches out further. You're not supposed to be afraid of these seasons. Their purpose is to rouse you from your slumber. Because it is dangerous to risk going beyond the cover you were intended to dwell beneath if you procrastinate indefinitely and harden your heart. According to chapter 18, verse 21 of the first book of Kings, the prophet Elijah said, "How long will it take you to decide between two viewpoints? Follow the Lord if he is God. Follow Baal, nevertheless, if he is God." This question continues to be asked. The same question keeps coming up to you right now. How long will you put off obeying, giving up, and making the decision to live out your life's purpose? The date October 8th is more than just a date. It serves as a reminder that choices cannot be put off indefinitely. Imagine a ship on the ocean. The captain is aware that if he waits too long, the tide will change at a certain hour. He loses the opportunity to sail into safe harbor when the waters turn against him. Similarly, your reluctance may cost you time that you may never get back. Not because God is unkind, but rather because life goes on and doors that are missed don't always open again. When he was young, a guy once heard the call of God. He sensed the call to live a new life and to be in line with a greater purpose. He told himself there would be more time later, but he put it off. Years went by, and every time the call came, he made an excuse to end it. The voice became silent one day. The chance was still there, but his heart had become too numb to see it. His biggest regret was not failure, but rather the decision to hesitate. The present moment is so holy because of this. You run the danger of becoming blind if you harden your heart, to run the danger of losing what was intended for you. Mercy is still shown today. However, the issue remains. Will you intervene before it pulls out? Imagine a door that gently closes. With every second that goes by, the sunshine that streams through becomes smaller. If there is still light, you can rush to it and go through. Or you could stay till the last bit is gone. The door stands for destiny, alignment, and opportunity. The conclusion is intended to arouse urgency rather than frighten you. Don't assume that insight always comes from waiting. Waiting may sometimes be considered obedience. However, waiting might also be considered disobedience disguised as comfort. The distinction is in being able to recognize when God says to stay quiet and when he says to move right away. It is impossible to overstate how bad this situation is. The weight of regret becomes greater than the weight of obedience if you wait too long. There is not much room for you to stand. Blindness is just one uprising away. One mistake might cost you a crown that was intended only for you. However, this should not be seen as censure. Mercy is still calling your name, as shown by the fact that you are here, hearing these words. The door hasn't been closed yet. There is still light. The invitation remains available. The rest is up to you. Imagine Israel standing on the brink of the land that was promised to them. They had experienced the cloud of glory, tasted sustenance, and seen marvels. However, fear prevented them from taking action when the time arrived. They wandered for 40 years as a result of their reluctance. Their own decision postponed their fate, not because God abandoned them. You stand at a threshold as well. It won't be just another October 8th. There will be a fork in the road. It will serve as a warning that indecision may have serious consequences. But everything is unlocked by obedience. Don't let the burden of regret become your narrative, chosen one. Allow the gravity of this moment to awaken you. Heaven merely wants a reaction, not perfection. The decision is still up to you. While the door is still open and the light is still shining, move forward. Waiting for another season is not an option. This is the one time when your name gets engraved on heaven. Creation has a rhythm built into it. There are patterns to the stars' movements. The tides are followed by the sea. The seasons change in a predictable way. This isn't all random. It's alignment, a divine arrangement that reflects God's wisdom. Likewise, this rhythm has been weaved throughout your existence. There has always been an invisible order guiding you ahead, even when it appeared like you were going in an unexpected direction and when silence sounded louder than instructions. You could have sometimes questioned if you got lost. Perhaps I went in the wrong direction, you thought. Perhaps I squandered too much time. Heaven, however, whispers in a different way. Every detour, hold up, and valley has been allowed on purpose. When you are in the hands of someone who sees the finish from the beginning, nothing is wasted. Chapter 8, verse 28 of the book of Romans made the announcement. Furthermore, we are aware that God always acts in the best interests of those who love him and have been called in accordance with his plan. Oh, everything. Not a few, not the majority, but all. Even the losses you believed would be your demise, the betrayals and the heartbreaks. Your destiny has included them into its design. God has utilized them as beginnings, while the adversary saw them as ends. See a close-up of a tapestry being stitched. All you see are tangles, twisted strands, and seemingly incompatible hues. But when you take a step back, a magnificent design becomes apparent. Every little thing has a purpose. That is the fabric of your life. The day you take a step back and finally see the pattern will be October 8th. There was a lady who endured seasons of unrelenting hardship. Her life didn't appear to be in harmony. Her career took a nosedive. Her romances ended. Her health faltered. Heaven seemed to be quiet as she prayed. Then one night, she was sitting thinking when she realized that a number kept coming up in dreams, communications, and even receipts. She first disregarded it, but eventually she came to see it as a reminder from God. You're not lost. You're in agreement. In seasons when chaos attempted to talk her out of it, that number became her fulcrum. Selected 1. Numbers are still used by heaven to communicate, to remind you of alignment, not to tie you down in superstition. Numbers are indicators of the rhythm of God. You are seen and sealed, just in case. And now, I'd want you to enter the number 222 in the comments section to indicate alignment. Why 222? Because there are many affirmations and agreements. It describes God's pledge to establish His word, to restore order where chaos has been, and to match your actions with His will. It's not like you're toying with numbers when you write it. My life is in alignment with heaven's design. I walk not in chaos, but in divine order. The statement seems strange. Imagine yourself at a crossroads where three undirected pathways intersect. The decision seems enormous. Then a whispering voice indicates the correct path. That's what 222 stands for. In the midst of uncertainty, clarity, alignment between the choices. You're aligning yourself with God's voice over your life when you type 222. You're stating, I choose the ordered path. I choose alignment over disorder. I choose His design over my confusion. False. Imagine a compass needle in a storm, swinging wildly. Then, at last, settling and indicating north. That moment of assurance, of silence. This assertion is just that. It focuses you. It serves as a reminder that you are pointed in the direction of true north, regardless of how fierce the storm may be. Furthermore, this gesture will empower others besides you. Your opinion will inspire someone who isn't sure where they fit in to think they are on the same page. Your proclamation causes a stir, touching souls you would never encounter. Thus, keep this in mind. The announcement of disorder will not occur on October 8th. Order will become apparent. On that day, heaven will reveal to you that the fragments of your voyage were never really dispersed. To get you to this point, they were a part of a sequence that was precisely aligned. Keep this number close to your heart. Let 222 serve as a reminder that your life is a pattern, a rhythm, and a testimony in the making rather than a haphazard assortment of setbacks and triumphs. You're in agreement. They see you, and the season in which that alignment will be revealed is upon you. You will realize why the delays molded you, why the diversions were important, and why the stillness was sacred when the reveal takes place. Every component was placed, every second was timed, and every step was divinely timed. God's arrangement is beautiful like this. There is no waste. Your suffering is incorporated into the work of art. And let 222 serve as a daily reminder that you're not lost as you carry it in your heart. Eternity is walking in time with you. You are not walking alone, even if you may not feel it all the time. Forces are at work on your behalf. Heavenly assignments that are invisible to the naked sight. They stand God while you're sleeping. As you cry, they become stronger. They walk with you when you traverse valleys. You are more surrounded than you think. There are hints of these reinforcements scattered throughout the Bible. When Elisha's servant became alarmed upon seeing an enemy army, the prophet prayed, "Open his eyes, Lord." The young man saw suddenly surrounded by hills brimming with horses and fire chariots. In reality, what seemed to be certain loss was supernatural protection. It's the same with you, but sometimes your eyes can't see. There are sent ones allocated to your path, so the hills of your life are not empty. In accordance with what is disclosed in Psalms 91-11, because He will give His angels instructions to protect you at all times. Stop. There is no abstract promise in these words. They are actual covers. You have endured circumstances that defy explanation. Car crashes were barely averted. Diseases that ought to have been more severe. All of these situations contain the fingerprints of invisible hands, battles that should have shattered you, but somehow didn't. Imagine a soldier with a shield bearer at his side as he marches into combat. The soldier would be hit by the first arrow, even if the shield bearer never used a sword. Your guardians are angels. They bear the burden of conflicts. Fighting alone was never intended for you. A lady once experienced complete desolation. Her whole existence seemed like it was under siege. Overwhelmed, she said one night, "God, I cannot do this anymore." She felt calmness cover her like a blanket in the silence. Looking back, she saw that it was something more than her own strength that had brought her through her worst moments. An invisible yet indisputable presence. Heaven's reinforcement was that. Selected one. You have to keep in mind that noise is the enemy's strength, but presence is the power of heaven. God and His angels are there to steady your feet while the darkness threatens to overpower you with terror. That is the reason you continue to push on when, according to logic, you ought to have stopped a long time ago. Consider a tourist traversing a hazardous valley at night. It seems vacant to him, yet the hills above him are illuminated by flames. His safety is ensured by the guards traveling in silence. They see him, but he doesn't see them. That's your tale. You're not as vulnerable as you believe. They are all around you, and their function extends beyond simple protection. It is also direction. Angels are messengers that help you find your way and whisper guidance when you're feeling lost. How many times did you feel the want to wait rather than hurry, to turn left rather than right? They have been given instructions to watch after you and accompany you on your journey to the location that God has designated for you. Imagine a fog-covered bridge. Every step seems unclear, and you are unable to see the finish. However, the bridge is supported by pillars buried deep in the earth. Even though you may not be aware of them, your trip would come to an end without them. Angels are those invisible pillars that support your weight, so you may continue to walk. You should feel less burdened by this reality. You don't have to bear it all by yourself. Every conflict does not have to be fought alone. Ancient and strong reinforcements have been sent especially to your name. And this fact becomes increasingly more important as October 8th draws near. The next reveal is not something you will enter unguarded. Heaven has already passed you by. The entrances of your next season are guarded by angels. They're clearing the area, putting up barriers, and thwarting assaults you won't even be aware were coming. So have bravery. Remember that you're more surrounded by protection than turmoil, even when it seems like it. Remind yourself of the timeless truth, even when fear tells you that you are alone. You're never left to fend for yourself, exposed, or abandoned. The reinforcements are genuine. The presence is unquestionable, and as the days pass, it will become more evident to you that you have never set foot alone. In this generation, something is stirring. Like the rumbling before a storm, the sound rose. Though sometimes misinterpreted, it is the awakening of individuals who are marked from birth. The ones that never quite fit in are them. The ones whose pulse reverberated forever and who felt alienated from the rhythm of the world. You are one of them. You are a member of an unstoppable uprising. God has consistently produced a remnant throughout history. Every generation had a select few who carried light powerful enough to penetrate the darkness when it became bold. There was Moses in Egypt. There was Daniel in Excel. There was Esther in Persia. Despite their imperfections and lack of confidence, these individuals had a calling that outweighed the terror all around them. And as the prophet Joel said in Joel 2 verses 2 to 28, whole countries changed as a result of them. And I will then pour forth my energy on everyone. Prophecies will come from your kids and daughters. Your elderly guys will have fantasies. There will be visions for your young guys. Ancient history is not what these phrases describe. They exist in the present. Now the Spirit is stirring, arousing once silenced voices, raising once gloomy eyes, and igniting once weary hearts. Consider a battlefield in the morning. The field is quiet for a long time. The earth was covered with mist. Then people emerged from the darkness, one by one. They seemed dispersed at first,